welcome, as always, to the Winning Edge podcast. I'm Rick. John, how are you, pal?
I'm good. Very up and down year so far, which is good. Which is a good thing. We were just talking off air a little bit about the ups and downs of business, and it's very easy on good months to think you've got it all cracked. Then on bad months, you feel like you're fucking going under. So I think managing the peaks and troughs of a business, even years in, it's not easy. I don't know how many people get a business off the ground and in 6 months they're flying and never look back. Fair play to those guys that have that kind of business, but I don't think that's the norm for a lot of people. I think there's a lot of up and downs, and dealing with that shit's not easy because it's all financial, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was saying, like, how are you doing? How are you doing? And I already knew how you were doing, didn't I? Because I was a bit like, oh, how are you doing? How are you doing? But you're better, aren't you? We touched on it last time that business had been challenging. It remains challenging, but you're definitely on a upward curve now. Yeah, is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, fucking hell. I mean, like, for me, I'm trying to get better at managing the business, and I guess everyone should do this. I don't know how many people. Like when I first started managing a business, it was very month to month, and it still is from a financial point of view. But I'm trying to get better at managing the finances quarter to quarter, like most bigger businesses kind of do, and not panicking because January was a profit or Feb was a loss and March was a fucking just about break even or whatever, and then look back and go, okay, well, what was the total? Did we actually? Because it's very easy to go under on your previous month. So if you've just lost some money, but you kind of your head's forgetting that you made it the previous month. So really, you're still at like a break even period, or maybe you've made a bit. Rather than dwelling on fuck, we just lost this much this month. Yeah, but you made more the previous, and I think I'm trying to get better at managing quarter to quarter now, and not just panicking because of one bad month or even two. And now, for anyone else out there running a business, hopefully you have year-on-year numbers and year-on-year trends you can start to look at. I do think some people forget to do that shit and just go month to month for ages, and then they've got nothing to look back on. Ever since I started business 6 years ago, I've been very good at keeping a track of every penny from every month that we've earned, but also every month of cost. So I can very quickly go into, next month, which will be May, and go, right, last year we made this much and our costs were this much. This is what we're looking at, right? And if the costs were high last year, for whatever reason, why was that? Kind of a quick fucking dig in. Did something happen? Did we have to pay for more than we did? Did we have more staff, less staff, whatever? But at least give a couple of targets to that following month. Like, look, this is what we did last month, and this is what we did last year on the same month, and this is what we need to be. And also trying to, whilst month on month, you have to try and make money, and we do make money. But the first goal is like, are you in a better place this year than last year? So what I had to look at, a little bit for the first quarter of this year was, we already knew going into sort of Feb, March that last year was, let's say X amount of a loss. Now, even if we lose again or lost again this year, did we lose less? Right, or did we lose more? And I think some people don't look at that. A loss is a loss, and it's fucking not good because you've got the bills to pay. But kind of going, right, okay, well, we halved that loss from last year, so we're going in the right direction still. And just sometimes when things are shit, finding something positive to go, well, okay, we lost this much or that month last year, but we only lost this month, so we are doing better, we are improving. And then on the good months when you're making, did we make more than we did last year? And then how did that even out throughout the year? Because if I look at what we finished in let's say if I look at a loss, it was. I look back over the year and go, actually, it wasn't that big, but it was manageable.
So businesses has highs and lows, right? It has ups and downs, and it's a bit like, you know, an American football season, isn't it? Or a football season in the UK or whatever. You know, you're going to win some games, you're going to lose some games. You take the lessons out, but you know, you go on a run of losses, and all of a sudden you start looking at it, then, don't you, and thinking, "Oh, hang on a minute, you know, we've not won a game for a month here," or you know, and that equates to like losing, you know, losing financially, losing for a month, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
and I think it's like also like why is that happening, and what are you going to do about it? And you'll know this, right? It's really hard when you're the owner to look and go, right, okay, well, who's at fault? Let's say, like if you use the football analogy, you know, the owners of Manchester United, let's say, they don't want for money; they have money, right?
Yeah, that's fucking debatable. Let me tell you.
Well, how they spend it's debatable, right?
Yeah, they've got my money right now. There's a rant. There's a rant.
You know, if Manchester United fell apart tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
exist, they would still have money.
Yeah, got personal wealth, haven't they?
So they can. So even if, you know, and I'm sure United fans, and I've seen this in football and all sports across the board, right? A lot of issues can actually come from the owners, but those owners are never going to have their fault. The manager's going to get fired. Some of the players are going to go.
Yeah.
You're just going to have to come in. So you can make those changes, but a small business, to a certain degree, doesn't have that because, you know, something like my business, I can go, right, okay, where does the ultimate fault lie? And, you know, realistically, I have to look at myself. If we're not doing well, what am I not doing? What could I do better? And that doesn't mean, you know, even if I look to change personnel because we're not doing the thing, like if I can pinpoint, okay, maybe our retention's not bad and maybe that's because of a couple of coaches and maybe I have to make some changes there. Fine. But why? Why is it really purely the coach's fault, or is it something I'm not doing either? Is it something in our systems? Is it and being able to look at yourself in a smaller business and go, maybe I'm the fucking problem. What am I going to do to help fix this? As well as pinpoint certain people, it is a fucking challenge because you never want to really blame you. Other times I have to look at it and go, okay,
yeah. How do you look at yourself then? How are you able to do that? I think it's important for people to hear that.
How do I do it?
Yeah, how are you able to do that?
Well, I have two phases of dealing with, I guess, bad months or shit, if you will. First phase is a good day or two, maybe, of doom and gloom, right? And then I fucking take a fucking good look in the mirror and go, right. But I always default back to the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And then just do a deeper dive there and go, right, okay, this is what happened this month. How many, let's look at the data. How many new sales did we do? How many sessions were we doing? How does this compare to last year? What did we do differently? If last year was better and we did more new sales, what was our marketing? What was our strategy this time last year? Was that better? Was it better messaging? What's our social media looking like? Are we posting as much as we did this time last year? Or are we posting as much as we did even this time last month? Like, what has changed? And then what environmental stuff is there that maybe this is something we need to be aware of year in, year out? Like tax seasons, an insane thing here. People just switch off until they've got their taxes paid and so it's crazy. People literally be like, no, it's tax season. We're not doing anything until
not spending. Yeah.
You know, and done things like this last 2 weeks. There's a big music festival on called Coachella. I think it's like 2 hours away.
Yeah.
Well, like it's 2 weekends in a row. And it's kind of decimated our numbers a little bit for the last 2 weeks, especially classes. All the young people that kind of normally come to the classes have fucking disappeared for 2 weeks.
Is that the same dude that's dead well known on YouTube and all that?
Pardon?
Call that Coachella. I've heard of that before. Is that
it's big? Yeah, I'd never fucking heard of it.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about it here. Until I came here, I'd never really heard of it. People going, I'm old, right? So, Glastonbury's the only fucking festival I know.
Yeah. I'm sure I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's this big 2 weekend thing, and you're like, okay, so I've got to think about that. How does that affect business? And so it's kind of that twofold. Okay, there's some things that are out of my control, you know, Tax season's out of my control. Fucking, we've just had. So another thing I keep learning a little bit more each year. Spring break. I thought spring break was like a week or two, a bit like Easter.
Mm-hmm.
No, different colleges take different weeks off throughout the whole month.
They've just started doing that over here now.
Yeah.
Don't know why.
And you think about then, like, spring break. First of all, it's a time for the youngsters to kind of go away, but also families get together. So it doesn't really matter which college close to you is off when anymore, because parents have got kids all over the fucking states in different colleges, and they're like, okay, I'm going to go and visit my kids for spring break.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a holiday. So it's quite a big holiday season.
Yeah.
Just for kids at college, but for parents going off and visiting their fucking kids and shit like that. So I had to realize, okay, so spring break really affects us for a month. So now I'm starting to really understand why the first quarter of the year somewhere like the US is a fucking nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
You've got spring break, you've got these fucking festivals, you've got tax season, and all this shit is in the first couple of months of the new year.
Mm-hmm.
So again, when the brain's going January, January we should be fucking flying. And even then in the UK, it was like the end of Jan and then Feb, March would pick up. Here, especially in LA, we don't really get going for the year until now. So going into the summer, like there's been a big shift in leads, inquiries, and all this sort of stuff for, going into April. And if I look at it from last year, I can see that the months with this, and I never assume. I don't want to assume it's going to be the same as last year, but we do have the data to show that that's a thing. Did that stop me panicking and pulling my hair out and fucking, all the other fucking stuff that goes with having a bad few months? And again, they weren't even that bad. Like, if I now look back at the numbers, I'm like, actually, it's pretty fucking good. In my mind, I was like, fuck, another month like this, another month like this. So, dealing with it is as we've spoke about loads, and I don't always do it immediately, and I don't always do it quick enough, but I do always know the answer, and that's action. And action is always about digging into the data you have. So if you're running a small business and you're running it blind, which a lot of people do, and again, I don't want to differentiate between what we call a small business, but you work with a lot of people that have their own small businesses, and they're smaller than mine. And I worry that sometimes, and I'm sure you fucking tell them all to do this, but you must pull your hair out when you're asking them for some of these stats from last year. And I guarantee some of them are saying they don't really have them, or they don't really know, because they're using, maybe they're not paying for the type of systems I have, right? Because they're even smaller businesses. So money's an issue. Like, are they really doing their own spreadsheets every single month? And I'm detailing every single number, or is it a bit vague? And then you have to sit there and be like, okay, how are we even comparing month on month and last year to this year and projections for next year if you don't have all these numbers? And I can only act on issues if I have stats for literally everything. Social media stats, fucking marketing stats, leads, inquiries, like what is different? And if there is a big difference between this year and last year, what were we doing last year? Because a year's a long, long time ago. What was our marketing like this time last year? What was our promotion? What did we do? Oh shit, we were doing that last year. We didn't do that this year. So that's the only way I can really deal with it. I don't have any external voodoo, meditation and all that stuff to really fix those issues, because I can sit in silence all fucking day long. It's not going to help the problem, right? I have to dig into the issues, and then I have to speak to them.
So you don't manifest it then, mate? No.
No, I know, and I know that's it. I probably should get better at that. Yeah, I know that's a big thing.
I was being fucking sarcastic there.
I know, but
you know what I mean?
Is some of that stuff
There is, yeah, but you've got to do the work. You've got to do the work, haven't you?
When things are going, when it feels like things are closing in, and you're having bad months and things are a struggle, you do talk a lot about manifestation and things like that. But how do you get out of your own way to even do that when you're so closeted in? I mean, that's a whole other fucking skill, right?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to be honest, mate. You lost me when you made a statement about me pulling my hair out. I was
Yeah,
like, yeah, are you taking the fucking piss there or what? You know what I mean? I was like, wow, he's taking the piss here, you know. But anyway, what you talked about there was is trends, didn't you? And you talked about looking for trends, and then ultimately the difference between in your thoughts is being emotional or being factual. You know, so we all divert to emotions, don't we? We all, you know, we've all got a negativity bias, doom and gloom straight away, like fucking hell, the world's ending. But and then when you're able to step back and take a minute, you can be more logical about it, and you're like, right, okay, it's been shit, but actually, if I look at it, it's not that bad. I'm catastrophizing here. Let's look at the facts, right? The facts are over the quarter, it's not been that bad. The facts are in our worst period compared to our worst period last year, we're not as bad as we were. So that makes me feel a little bit better. And the facts are, I agree with manifesting and all that kind of stuff, and but then equally, we've got to fucking do something about it, haven't we? So we've got to actually take some action, like you said, and I support everything that you've said there. But then you know how do you get out of your own way? That's the challenge, isn't it? Because
oh, massive.
to be a high performer in anything, sport, business, to be the boss, you touched on it being essentially lonely, is what you said before. You know, it's a lonely place to be sometimes, being in the big chair, as I call it. You know, everyone thinks it's great being in the big chair, but you come and spend a day sat in the shoes of someone in the big chair.
IKEA chairs is what we could afford, but that's because
Yeah.
we spent more money on the gym stuff, and chairs were not really important. But
Yeah.
my throne that I see in daily doesn't match the gym.
Don't match the leg press, does it, mate, or whatever. But to do well, to do really, really well at sport or business or anything, a personal challenge, you've kind of got to have those high performance characteristics, and one of them is you've got to have an ego. You've got to have an ego. You've got to be a bit egotistical. You've got to also be creative, and you've also got to be a little bit sort of forthright in your mindset. In like, you know, I know what I'm doing. I'm driving forward, visionary maybe, and all that kind of stuff. You know, yeah, you've laid your gyms out how you visioned it after 30, 40 years of being in gyms. Now, of course, they would have given you some plans and some schematics and all that kind of shit. But then there'll have been some of it where you've just looked at it and gone, nah, not right.
Oh,
So
yeah.
your greatest asset can become your biggest problem. How do you get out your own way? And for me, it is exactly as you've already said it. You have to pull yourself out of it and separate you from your business. Almost be a consultant in your own business, a consultant in your own sporting career or whatever it is, and deal with the facts. And the facts can be there's an economy shit going on, or there's something the government have done, or you know the president in America or whatever. You know, in the UK they've just brought in Easter, which was always a long weekend. Kids have had holidays over 4 weeks this year. It's nonsense to me. Why not just put them all together, same week? But then I think one of the key skills of being a really, really elite performer in anything is that ability to actually critique yourself, to actually manage yourself the way you manage others. So the way you're stood there with others, like I would be, or you would be, or whoever, going, yeah, improve this, work on this, da 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 da. Actually, you have to be able to critique yourself, or have somebody around you who you respect enough to critique you. Yeah. And then they're going to tell you stuff because your ego will kick in. Then they're going to tell you stuff you don't like. Then you're going to tell you stuff that's going to fucking sting, and you think, fuck off. But again, that ability to lead, like you do on a daily basis, like we do on a daily basis, you can then step back. Allow, like you said before, doom and gloom. Allow yourself to lick your wounds for a day or two, and then you can go, yeah, right, okay. And I go back to what you said before, and then I'm finished. It ultimately is about taking action. The top performers flex their behavior to the demands they face.
Mm.
Yeah, they flex their behavior. They've got a plan. They've got a plan, and they believe in Plan A. This is fucking Plan A. I believe in it. It works. It's worked for me in the past. I believe in it. But then equally, if the shit hits the fan, I'm also diverse enough in my thinking, my thoughts, my actions, my behaviours to tweak it, to bend it, and to adapt to the challenges I face. Either way, whether it's Plan A, Plan B, Plan fucking Z, they're still taking action, especially on the days when they don't want to. The low performers stay in that emotional state and do fuck all, or expect somebody else to do it for them.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, like I was just thinking as you was talking then, because I think about what, you know, people I admire, I guess, as high performers, or people I've even worked around that are high performers. They, whatever process they use, whether it's what we were just talking about, and I think action is the biggest one with everything, but they have a unique mindset to moving on quickly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, let go and move on. Yeah,
as quick as possible. Make a decision, stick by the decision, let go of whatever the outcome was to the previous one, and you know, don't even dwell on if the new decision doesn't work either, and then go, oh well, maybe back when I did that, I should, like, that time's gone.
Yep.
You know, maybe you make 3 bad decisions in a row, but keep moving on and make and keep changing, and that quickness that I've seen with people to, you know, to just make a quick change and go with it, and manage the new change. Forget dwelling on the old thing. Just fucking move forward. And I've experienced it, you know, even you know, in my own business, where, you know, small things, sometimes worrying about getting rid of a certain trainer, and you know, all of their clients might leave, and and exactly what I thought would happen usually happens, but it's always still ended up being for the best. We've actually always done okay. You know, we've managed to replace the clients. We've managed to build even bigger and stronger off the back of it, and learning to try not to worry about, okay, what might I lose if I do this, and focus more on what you might gain. And I do struggle with that. Like I'm such a fucking, okay, what's the worst case scenario and what's the best case scenario?
Yeah.
But my brain still stays a little, even if I make the decision for the best case scenario, my brain's still worrying about worst case scenario. I think high performers will weigh up both. I don't think they don't. I'm sure they do. But the minute they've made the decision, they don't even think about worst case scenario anymore. They focus fully on best case scenario.
Absolutely. They've got no empathy, or they lack empathy. At a certain level, they lack empathy. The elite have no empathy at all. You know, and then I find it fascinating with really high public figures, celebrities, sports people, especially, all that kind of stuff. Because a lot of them are really, really good, or try to be good at making out like they're a nice person. And I'm like, you're a fucking asshole. Let's just admit it. You know what I mean? That's why you've got to that level where you're at, because you're an absolute asshole, you know?
And like you say, sometimes what you see on the front, and again, I've seen that from people that are very, very successful. You know, the public persona is one thing. The private persona of how they deal with certain issues is another. And, you know, I think there is and again, not in all people, and again, I struggle to be ruthless in my thinking. I'm very honest with everything. Like, I pull people on things straight away. Anyone that's worked with me knows, like, I don't pull punches. I don't bullshit. I'm going to tell you if you've done something wrong, or that I don't agree with, or that needs to be better. But I've seen the higher level and the ruthlessness of those people to get people to perform higher. The problem is, those people can crush a lot of people in the process of getting the right people. And it's being able to, I guess, in some ways, being able to live with that. I don't care how many people I'm going to crush along the way that can't cope with my, let's say, standards and level of intensity, expectation, because the 1 or 2 people that make it, they're the one or two people that are going to, run my business or run over whatever. And it's a very interesting process to watch someone who runs a business like that. I'm not that kind of, but I'm just not ruthless. I just can't be that level of arsehole. Now that doesn't mean that there's not a positiveness to that, right? And some of those people build very fucking successful businesses, but they've crushed. What you don't see is the amount of people they've crushed along the way that are now maybe out of that industry altogether. They couldn't fucking cope with the level of demand. They just fucking fell apart. And I've seen too much of both sides. And I try and sit somewhere in the middle of it, which again is not always a good thing.
Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I think that's quite mindful of you, and I think that's quite reflective of you to be able to do that. To look and say, well, actually, this is where I think I sit in this sort of hierarchy. Let's say, and based on that, that means I'll get to a certain level, which is great, and I'll do well and all that kind of stuff. But then equally, am I prepared to do what it really takes to get to that level? I always remember this with sport, like with training. One of the athletes that I'd worked with who did really, really well, he would say it's not about what I'm prepared to do; it's about what I'm prepared to sacrifice.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, mate. I think the level I've got to is good, and could I go further? Yes, I'm ambitious still, same as you are. But then equally, to get to those elite levels, am I prepared to sacrifice certain things? Am I prepared to sacrifice friendships, personal times, all that? Am I prepared to be, as you described, then that level of arsehole? I'm not sure I am, but in fact, I know I'm not. But going back to something you said before, and I missed something, which I think is a key skill. I think that, and I'm really mindful here, right? I'm going to open up a can of worms with you here, I think. But you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go for it. And then I'm just going to sit back and let this happen as well. But yeah. But you talked about action, right? And then what sprung into my head about 5 minutes later was accountability. Taking accountability. And what you said was you owned it. You sort of said, I've got to look at the numbers. I've got to look at the facts. I've got to do something about it. I'm prepared to lick my wounds for a day or two, but then I'm going to, pull myself out of it. 2 phases, all that kind of stuff. And what came to my mind is, you're taking accountability of it. And the societies now, and we've spoken about this offline, so I know this is true in the States as well, but there's such a lack of accountability now. And so much so, and here I go with it, that, there's a lack of leadership. And dare I say it, there's a lack of fucking balls as well, right? And having the balls to take a look and go, actually, I need to get a grip of this and blah, blah, blah. And I want to know what your thoughts are now, because there's people actually teaching people, in particularly men, almost like making businesses. I'm going sideways here, but fuck it.
I know exactly what
you know where I'm going. And it's people teaching men to be men, isn't they? And I just, because we've got such a lack of accountability now, it's almost like these businesses out there to coach you to be a man and coach you to be accountable. Please tell me what you think about that. I already know, but go for it.
Well, look, I think like anything, right? To put like the sort of, seeing it from both sides hat on just for a minute before I fucking ran. like anything, social media's created a platform for finding out what there's a need for, right? Why there's a need for this as a generational thing, I don't know. I was thinking about this in the car this morning, and in fact, I've been thinking about this for last week. So something triggered me off, and I may or may not mention his name, but we'll see how this conversation.
Yeah, don't get us sued.
No, well, it was in the news, so it's facts.
Oh, fuck it. Mention it then, bollocks to it.
And look, and again, it's not a bad thing. It's just like people opening their eyes, right? But I was also thinking, right, there are all these guys out there, and they're basically selling you, on how to be the ultimate kind of alpha male, how to live the perfect lifestyle. If you want to be successful, you have to do X, Y, and Z. You need to, and again, I agree with a lot of what they say, exercise, eat healthily, do a ton of stuff to prepare you as an individual, but then also man up, take ownership, do this, do what's necessary, be this ultimate male, and to the point I'm even seeing some people now that are that are kind of, they're making some big deal about quitting drinking. They're in their 40s, 50s, and they're like, right, okay, the best thing I ever did was stop drinking. I'm clearer minded. I'm this, I'm that. I'm like, well, okay, first of all, how much did you even fucking drink, right? And also, why are you now preaching that the ultimate way to be successful is to not have a drink every now and again, right? I don't drink a lot anymore, but I do like a couple of glasses of wine, and when I'm fucking stressed out and I want to chill out, it's something that I enjoy doing. Fucking tell me that, and again, maybe it's my reaction to it, but if you're going to tell me that you're better than me because you've given up this, and again, what you might call is a bit of a sacrifice, probably not a sacrifice for you, maybe you feel better, but anyway, all this fucking advice on how to be a fucking male, how to be a successful male, how to be a male that people look up to, how to be a male that everybody wants to be like. And I was thinking, like, fuck me, how times have changed, right? Could you imagine if some guy back in your dad's day, my dad's day, tried to sell you some sort of package, sell your dad on how to be a male?
Yeah.
Like, our dads would have been like, the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Like,
fuck off, yeah.
I'm a male. Like, they were grown. And again, you go back even more in time, right? And I don't know, like, I'm certainly not going to put a scientific fucking testosterone thing, but I was reading something today, and I don't know whether it was 100 years ago or 1,000 years ago, but I need to get the time frame because the time frame is important. But apparently that the average male testosterone back in, like, it was probably over 100 years ago, was actually 2,000. The average male testosterone now is about 800 to 1,000. And most men have low testosterone now.
Yeah.
Like, that's fucking scary, the evolution that actually scientifically men are becoming less and less men.
Yeah.
There is something there. I don't know what that is. But at the same time, it's like, well, my testosterone's been up, down, all over the fucking place. It's never really stopped me being a fucking man. So I don't know what the relationship is there to as far as just being a guy who thinks fucking guy thoughts and is a fucking male in every fucking sense of the word, right? But I don't understand where this needs to come from. Like, what's changed? Right? What's changed where, like, and again, it's an age thing, I think. I fucking know, I don't know why I bring this up. I shouldn't keep bringing it up, fucking driving myself nuts. But I'm 50 legit. There's not one of these fucking male guys going on with that. And I've listened to their books. I listen to their podcasts here and I listen to what they've got to say. But I don't look up to any of them and want to be like them. Like, I don't look at them as anything any fucking different than me. But they're not appealing to people like me. They're appealing to 20-year-olds, maybe 30-year-olds that are like, okay, I want to have what this guy has.
Yeah.
And it's like, but what? You can't fake masculinity. You can't fake being a man. You can't fake having this persona. So what is it that these guys are actually selling? And then the bit that I was like, am I going to say or not going to say? There was and I listened to this guy, one of the more famous guys on there, and if you saw the news, you'll know who I'm talking about. It's come out recently that whilst he's selling how to be the perfect male, sells a lot of other things that with the way he talks. And when I say sells, I don't mean like just trying to sell something. I just mean promoting, this is how your life is, this is how a man should be and behave, and these are things that we should do to control our lives and our thoughts and all this sort of stuff. And he backs it a lot with science, because I can't remember what his background is in science, but he's a neuro fucking scientist something. And it's come out recently.
Oh no, it is now.
He was fucking dating and having affairs with like 8 different women at once.
Yeah.
Right? I ain't got a problem with that.
Me neither.
No, I mean, like I struggle with one. So fair play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Like how you've even done that. But my point to saying that is not to judge that person. It's just a reminder to be mindful of who your heroes are.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
They're not perfect.
No.
They have issues as well. And sometimes I just, and up to now, from what I've seen a few clips here and there of his most recent podcasts, not listened to any of them, and a few posts here and there, but not once up to now has he come out and owned that yet.
Yeah.
Look, I'm human like everybody else.
Yeah.
I make mistakes. Does that change my advice to other people?
Yeah.
Maybe no. But and I can put a handful of them in a box and be like, most of them have hit a point where they're really not. They're not showing their own weaknesses and vulnerabilities. They're showing that they had them 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and acting like all the stuff they've done over the last 10 or 20 years, because this is the bit they're selling.
Yeah. Makes them Superman. Yeah.
Mental place.
Yeah.
Don't make anymore. They don't do stupid shit anymore. They're very successful, and these are the things. And you're like, no, you still do some of.
Yeah, you're just human. You're just human, like all of us.
You have that trait in you, and just fucking be honest. You're not perfect. And kids are looking up to some of these people as role models. It's just pick and choose which bit of the role model you want. Because they're all fucking, I know some of the most alpha males that in certain areas, including myself, are weak as shit.
Yeah, vulnerable, weak. Yeah,
we're vulnerable in certain areas and certain things are going to get us in the shit, and they always get us in the shit. Do we learn to control it better? Yes, but they don't have those conversations that it's still a problem. What they're saying is, follow my path, and you'll be this ultimate fucking person. It's like, no, you make just as many mistakes as everybody else.
Yeah, you're just as fragile as I am, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
look, he don't me wrong. He's not going to go on his podcast and be like, hey, and out himself to all the women he's having affairs with.
Right? I mean, like you said, I don't know how he's doing that with all those women. I definitely, I might follow his testosterone protocols.
Yeah, exactly. But it's the same thing with all of that, right? And I'm a big believer that the whole, TRT and hormone, whatever you want to call it, hormone replacement, I think it's going to be fucking massive in the next 10 years. And I'll be honest with you, watch this space because it's something I'm working on myself. It's going to be a huge area for men. Yeah. But again, what has brought this to light? Like, why are men needing this now?
Yeah.
Why are men having such lower testosterone, even as young as in their 30s? What is causing this? Why are we needing to manipulate things? And also now looking at these things from a different angle and going, what can we do to improve men's health? Not just, and not just limiting it to eating well and exercising. There are other things
the links to mental health and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
But the generational change that's created this, and also the platforms, like anything. The minute there's a platform for something, it's easy to jump on, right? And I sit, and I'm sure you do, you have employees, you have a mentoring company that mentors people to run their businesses. I have employees. I sit and have conversations, daily on how to be better, how to behave to a certain degree. But I am not sitting here like fucking, some sort of saint that's never made mistakes.
Same. Yeah.
And just still go, look, I struggle with this just as much as you fucking did.
Yeah.
This is how I try to deal with it. This may work for you, it may not. But that wouldn't sell very well.
Yeah, indeed.
Environment where no one can see it and hear it. But if I was to have to start promoting that sort of thing on a podcast and go, look, I'm the fucking ultimate male. I fucking this I do. I get you have to give off that persona.
I haven't got my shit together. Doesn't sell as well as I have got my shit together, does it?
Honest,
Yeah.
And look, these guys are smart, and I do like a lot of. Like I said, I listen to a lot of their stuff. I take some stuff, like anything. You get a little older, you take what's useful, and you fucking ditch what isn't. Right. I do worry that some people are literally purely, and again, like any industry, there's the copycat market.
Mm.
Right? And then there's the people that are really not that, then being online pretending to be that and selling to the next generation and so on. You didn't really live.
Yeah, grifters, purely grifting and blagging, and he's got a million grifters around him. Well, that's
like that. Some of the 90% of these people are not what they say. Some are. Some are very dumb wrong, and they're telling an honest story, and this is exactly what happened. But there's also a lot of these people that are selling this, $10,000 fucking male mentoring fucking program. And putting it online. I can help you create this $10,000 mentoring system. You'll need X amount of clients and in the gym, and they've got the fucking Rolex on, they've got the Lamborghini outside, and all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, I know where you get your money from.
A
bit of that, but I think a lot of it's down to the fucking drug you're selling. Things that you're doing. And again, that's not to just kind of be like, oh, I throw shit. Like, he's cool, but just people just need to wake up and not be quite so naive to.
Yeah, I mean, there's another very famous. I'm not going to mention names, obviously, but there's another very famous guy that's out there who's surrounded by grifters and people all, following his methods, and it's massively improved their life and all that. And you just think, oh, shut up, mate. You have good days like all of us. You have bad days like all of us. You have fucking days where you feel shit. You have days where you feel great. The testosterone stats are frightening.
I was surprised because I know a lot about normal stat numbers and things with even dealing with mine the last sort of 5 years or so. I've kind of studied and learned a lot more about that sort of stuff. But when I saw that number, I was a bit like, fuck. People think like that our generation was more manly. What the fuck were these people like at 2000 fucking?
Oh, absolutely.
These guys have been just fucking killing each other. But
absolutely.
Those times, and well, they were.
They were. That's what they were doing. Yeah, that's what they were doing. They were eating and shagging and fighting and killing, and that was it. I think I've said in a previous podcast about even more recently in the UK, the testosterone levels where they've dropped. The average 30-year-old man has lower testosterone than the average 60-year-old man 50 years ago. So that's our granddad's generation. And I look at my dad. You mentioned dads and that before, and I'm not suggesting that anyone should fucking do this, by the way, because my dad's fucking mad. But he's smaller than me, isn't he, my dad? You've met him, considerably smaller than me, so he's really small. But he's a proper old schooler. He's hard as nails. He's stoic as shit. He had a growth in his ear, right, about 7 or 8, 10 years ago, whatever. Yeah. So cut it out with a Stanley knife because he didn't want the fuss of going to the hospital.
When I was younger.
Yeah. His ear then got that fucking bad that he nearly lost his ear, and he had to have an operation, which took longer than it would to sort the growth out. But just a no nonsense guy, like I'm sure your dad was, like all those men were, just no nonsense, just went about their business, had good days, had bad days. And I've written some here on my notes, and I can't take credit for this. This is something that came up in a WhatsApp group that I'm in this morning, and then we talked about testosterone. We'll probably get into that another time. We'll probably get into phones more another time as well, because they're what I think the problem are. The phones are the fucking smartphones are not fucking very smart, and they're not making people very smart.
They're not making people smart.
They're not making people smart. But this was ironically, was in a WhatsApp group this morning, and a pal of mine had posted a link where some fucking gadget had been created to try and help ruckers and backpackers and hikers, and to make it a bit easier. And my mate was like, hang on, it's supposed to be fucking hard climbing hills and mountains.
Not missing the fucking point.
You're missing the fucking point. And to loop it back to how we opened up with the challenges of business, and then all these fucking grifters trying to sell this perfect life and all that. I've written here, it's supposed to be tough. Yeah. It's going to be, your life is tough. You have good days, bad days. You have highs, you have lows. You have people that do stuff that make you feel really fucking great. You sometimes do stuff that makes you feel great. You have people that let you down. You have people that die. Life is fucking hard. And it, you know, as Goggins says, don't he? It calluses us, and then we go again. And we learn and we take lessons. I think society and we've gone off on some mad tangents here, which I fucking left. So apologies for that. They're looking for perfection. They're looking for smooth, perfect hands rather than calloused hands, and they're looking for this clear blue water that doesn't fucking exist. So therefore, when it's not there, they've got no resilience and just can't cope. And you know, I do worry about it all. I worry about society because actually it's supposed to be tough, and the growth and the progress is in it being tough.
Yeah. And I think, like say, you'll probably end on that. I think that hits the nail on the head. You know, like I'm all for technology making certain things easier, but if like trying to make almost like everything easier kind of makes everybody soft, there's got to be a limit to be like you've got to put some work into this. Like say the analogy of climbing up a fucking mountain easy. I get that having good kit and stuff, but if it's going to mean that you don't have to carry your stuff,
yeah,
get a donkey and put your stuff on the back of a donkey and fucking walk up the hill. Well, great, but now the donkey's doing all the work.
Yeah,
that might be smart, and it might be smart leadership. But what do you want to get out of getting to the top of that?
Yeah, where's the sense of achievement then at the end of it all?
Are you willing to get up to the top of it? Then again, you get to the top, take all the credit, and the fucking donkey's there, needing water. You're like, well, the donkey did most of the fucking work.
Yeah.
But again, maybe there's another fucking analogy in that. It's like we want to take all the credit, but we want something else to actually do the work.
Absolutely that. Yeah.
Right? So
absolutely that.
Yes, we need to make things a little bit fucking, technology helps with equipment and things that are going to make things easier than they were before. But you still have to use your legs.
Yeah.
Up there yourself.
Yeah.
Or why not just get a helicopter to the top?
Yeah.
And then go,
absolutely.
Hey,
yeah.
What do you want?
Have my Instagram photo at the top after you've got a helicopter up there. Yeah.
And
love
look,
that.
in all parts of our life, there's a bit of both. There's some things I just want the view. I don't have to put the work in to get there. But by and large, most of the time, you're going to have to put the work in. And I think if you're brought up being given only the view, you never really understand the work that it takes to fucking get there. And I think that's something people need to learn somewhere along the way.
I love that, mate. I love that. Do you want the view or do you want the journey? You've got to embrace the journey. And
shirt on that.
It's an absolute t-shirt. It's a social media post. Of course, we all want a bit of the view every now and then, but the journey's good for us. If we always had the journey and never got the view, then that wouldn't help. But yeah, fucking that sounds familiar as well. But doing more of the journey stuff leads to self-confidence, self-esteem, self-efficacy, a bit more happiness, a bit more contentment. What I always say, short-term pain equals long-term pleasure, whereas getting the view all the time, short-term pleasure equals long-term pain. It's like the rich kid. You don't appreciate it. The rich kid, the spoiled kid, the person who lacks resilience, the person who's got no emotional control, when the second they get fucking flicked, they burst into tears.
Yeah.
That's why we like fucking combat so much, mate. That combat fucking levels it all.
You can't just get the view.
Exactly.
With that sport, you just can't. It's not possible.
I got my fucking ass kicked on Wednesday night again by the same guy again.
Well, I bet you're fucking good mates, though, right?
We're top mates. He's fucking.
That's what's so fucking mental about it.
He's fucking brilliant, and he's doing it to push me forward and move me forward. And actually, I landed more on him than I ever have done because he was pushing me, but then keeping me at the right level. Yeah. And then later in the further rounds, he fucking cranked up a bit and kicked my ass. You know what I mean? But I've got two attitudes for that. I can lick my wounds and cry about it, or the attitude I came out with is, this guy's fucking brilliant. This guy's improving me. And come the day when I can even get close to this guy, then I'm going to be able to be fucking more than good enough with 90% of everybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
So this guy's doing me a favour.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's how you're going to look at those sort of things, right? It's it's not about trying to get as good as that person. It's about how much closer can you get? How much better are you getting? And this person is bringing you along no matter what.
Yeah.
It's a good mindset to have because it's not easy. It's not easy getting your ass kicked every week.
No, it's not.
I know all about that.
Good. On that note, that is us then, isn't it, mate?
Yeah.
We've sort of gone a bit left, a bit right, but we kind of promised that from day dot, didn't we? So
we get a little bit out of our rants today. That today was probably one of our least planned conversations, but hey,
yeah, we just decided to go for it, didn't we? So yeah, as always, guys, thanks for listening, thanks for tuning in. Give us a share, Spotify, John, iTunes, YouTube, all of them,
and give us please
give us a subscribe.
We want to get into double figures on this subscription thing, so please subscribe if you do actually happen to listen.
But we're going to be the shining example with this because we're learning as we go with this. We're going to get better and better, and we'll remember these early podcasts when we're fucking 100%. when we're fucking global in the next few years. So, as always, I'm Rick. He's John. We're the Winning Edge podcast. Have a great day. See you later.